And that story is still breaking at this hour. It has brought back dark memories. Another mass shooting at Fort Hood, Texas, and we just got new information from a news conference there.
Right now, we know 4 people are dead, including the gunman. Officials say he was an enlisted Army soldier, and his gunshot wound was self-inflicted. 16 people are hurt. Fort Hood is the largest Army post in the country with more than 40,000 active duty military members. There was a similar shooting there a few years ago.
10 on your side's Lauren Compton is here now. And Lauren, a lot of new information coming in just the last few minutes.
And Tom, in this news conference, we learned a lot about the shooter this evening. Military personnel says the shooter was in the process of being treated for mental health issues. We also learned that the shooter served in Iraq in 2011. He was not diagnosed with PTSD at this time. We also learned that the shooter had a wife and family, and as you mentioned, he did take his own life after the shootings. Emergency crews rushed to Fort Hood today after reports of an active shooter on the Army post. It's a tragedy this community has been through before.
We're heartbroken that something like this might have happened again. And I don't want to comment on the facts until I know exactly what has happened. But for now, I would just hope that everybody across the country is keeping the families and the community of Fort Hood in our thoughts and in our prayers.
Seek shelter immediately.
This was the alert that went off around 4:30 this afternoon, warning military personnel to take cover. Fort Hood then went into lockdown as military personnel searched for the active shooter. Meanwhile, people waiting to get into Fort Hood could only wait.
It's scary, yeah. I mean, we just moved here a couple months ago, so it's not something we're used to. That's what I'm trying to figure out is what I'm going to do tonight if they're not opening up, and I still have to go to work tomorrow.
Military officials told NBC News the shooter was 34-year-old Ivan Lopez, an enlisted soldier. They also said the shooting may have been sparked by a personnel dispute at the motor pool. It is not an act of terrorism. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel has vowed to look at security measures at the post to prevent something like this from happening again.
We don't have any choice here but to address what happened and do everything possible to assure the safety of our men and women who work on these bases and their families. That isn't an option. It isn't a matter of a question or a challenge too tough. We will do it.
Now, the lockdown was lifted at Fort Hood at 7:30 this evening. A nearby school, Central Texas College, was also evacuated because of the shooting. In the newsroom, Lauren Compton, 10 on your side.
And we are getting reaction from local lawmakers. I just got the phone a short time ago with Congressman Scott Bridgel.
It's the kind of tragedy that cannot be explained, and you just feel so very sorry for the families and, of course, the victims who lost their lives and those who were injured tonight.
Does it become a question of security or just a question of the culture itself?
Well, we know that what our young men and women have experienced and gone through, both in Afghanistan and Iraq, the trauma that so many of them have experienced, both physical, emotional, mental, is acute.
Bridger went on to say that the only risk our troops should face are on the battlefield and not a post or a base.
We mentioned this has happened before at Fort Hood. In 2009, Army Major Nadal Hassan shot and killed 13 people at the post. 32 people were hurt. Hassan was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death in August. He has not been executed yet.